Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the most compelling UFO evidence out there. Today, we're taking a look at some of the most credible witnesses on the planet, pilots. These are highly trained professionals, responsible for hundreds of lives every single day. They know the skies like the back of their hands. They can identify weather balloons, satellites, and other aircraft in a split second. So when a pilot reports seeing something they can't explain, it's worth paying attention. Let's start with one of the most famous cases in aviation history, the Kenneth Arnold sighting in 1947. Arnold, a private pilot, was flying near Mount Rainier in Washington when he saw a string of 9 shiny, unidentified flying objects. He described their movement as like a saucer skipping across water. And just like that, the term flying saucer was born, capturing the public's imagination and kicking off the modern UFO era. What's fascinating is that Arnold was a respected businessman and an experienced pilot. He wasn't looking for fame. He was just reporting what he saw, and his detailed account has stood the test of time. Fast forward to 1986. A Japan Airlines cargo flight JAL 1628 was flying over Alaska. Captain Kenju Terauchi, a veteran pilot with over 10,000 flight hours, along with his co-pilot and flight engineer, witnessed something extraordinary. They reported seeing 2 small, brightly lit objects to their left, which then suddenly appeared in front of their Boeing 747. As if that wasn't strange enough, a third, much larger, disc-shaped object appeared behind them. This mothership was so big, Captain Terauchi described it as being twice the size of an aircraft carrier. The crew watched these objects for nearly an hour. Air traffic control in Anchorage confirmed they had a radar target in the plane's vicinity, but then it vanished. The FAA initially treated the case seriously, but later tried to dismiss it as a trick of the light or a weather phenomenon. But for the crew of JL 1628, what they saw was very real, a structured craft moving with intelligent control. Now let's talk about a more recent encounter that really brought this topic into the mainstream. You've probably heard of it, the 2004 Nimitz incident. U.S. Navy fighter pilots, including Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, were on a routine training mission off the coast of San Diego. They were diverted to investigate a series of strange radar readings. When they arrived at the location, they saw a patch of turbulent white water in the calm ocean below, as if something was just beneath the surface. Hovering erratically above this disturbance was a smooth, white, oblong object with no wings, no engines, and no visible propulsion system. Commander Fravor described it as a tic-tac. He decided to fly closer to get a better look. As he descended, the tic-tac seemed to notice him. It mirrored his movements, then accelerated at a speed that defied our understanding of physics. It shot up, and in an instant, it was gone. Fravor said it moved in a way he had never seen before. A few moments later, the USS Princeton, the cruiser that had been tracking the objects, reacquired the tic-tac on radar, but this time it was 60 miles away. It had traveled that distance in less than a minute. This wasn't just a visual sighting. It was backed up by some of the most advanced sensor and radar technology on the planet. The incident was documented, and the infrared video, later released by the Pentagon, has been analyzed by experts worldwide. No one has been able to provide a conventional explanation. These events aren't isolated. In 2015, pilots from the USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group, operating off the east coast of the United States, had a series of encounters with what they called unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. One pilot, Lieutenant Ryan Graves, spoke out, stating that these objects were a common sight for his squadron. They would see them every day for months. These UAPs, often described as a cube inside a clear sphere, could remain stationary in hurricane-force winds, then accelerate to hypersonic speeds. They had no visible means of lift or propulsion. The pilot's cockpit instruments and radar locked onto them, confirming they were solid objects performing maneuvers that no known aircraft can achieve. The pilots were so concerned about the potential for a mid-air collision that they filed safety reports. These weren't just fleeting glimpses. They were sustained sightings by multiple pilots confirmed by multiple sensors. Let's also consider the case of the O'Hare International Airport sighting in 2006. On a cloudy afternoon, at one of the world's busiest airports, at least a dozen United Airlines employees, including pilots and supervisors, saw a dark, gray, metallic-looking disk hovering over gate C-17. Witnesses on the ground watched it for several minutes before it suddenly shot straight up into the sky, punching a perfect circular hole in the thick cloud layer above. The witnesses were stunned. They immediately reported it. The FAA was initially dismissive, calling it a weather phenomenon. However, the sheer number of credible witnesses, all providing a consistent description, makes that explanation hard to swallow. This wasn't out in the remote wilderness, this was right over a major metropolitan airport in broad daylight. Why are pilot sightings so important? Because these individuals are trained observers. Their lives and the lives of their passengers depend on their ability to accurately assess what's happening in the sky around them. They are not prone to hysteria or misidentification. They understand atmospheric effects, weather patterns, and the performance capabilities of known aircraft. When a group of them, often backed by radar data, report seeing something that defies all known principles of aerodynamics and propulsion, it carries immense weight. Another compelling account comes from Captain Ray Bowyer, a civilian pilot for Origny Air Services. In 2007, while flying near the Channel Islands, he and his passengers saw two enormous, bright yellow stationary objects. He described them as flat, thin, and glowing, estimating them to be up to a mile long. He observed them for over 15 minutes. Another pilot in a different plane, flying further south, also confirmed seeing a similar bright object in the same direction. Radar data from Jersey Air Traffic Control also showed unidentified targets corresponding to the locations of the objects. Captain Bowyer was a pilot with 18 years of experience. He was so shaken by the event that he drew detailed sketches of what he saw. He had no reason to make up such a story. In fact, he risked his career and reputation by coming forward. These accounts, from Kenneth Arnold's saucers to the Navy's Tic Tacs, share common threads. The objects often display extreme maneuverability, instantaneous acceleration, and the ability to travel at hypersonic speeds without creating a sonic boom. They often appear to defy gravity, hovering silently for long periods before zipping away in the blink of an eye. And crucially, they are witnessed by multiple people, often from different vantage points, and are frequently tracked on radar. The Pentagon's UAP Task Force, now called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARO, has acknowledged these reports. The 2021 preliminary assessment on UAPs analyzed 144 incidents reported by military pilots between 2004 and 2021. Of those, they could only explain one. The rest remain unidentified. The report stated that these UAPs clearly pose a flight safety issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. This is a monumental shift from the decades of official denial and ridicule that surrounded the topic. The conversation has changed. We've moved from the fringes to the halls of Congress. The stigma that once prevented pilots from speaking out is slowly eroding. More and more military and civilian aviators are coming forward, sharing their experiences and demanding answers. They are not saying what they saw was extraterrestrial. They are simply saying it was real, it was technologically advanced, and it was not ours. So what are we to make of all this? Are we looking at secret military prototypes from another country? While possible, the performance characteristics reported, like transmedium travel and acceleration that would crush any human pilot, seem to be far beyond the known capabilities of any nation on Earth. Are they some unknown natural phenomenon? Perhaps, but it's hard to imagine a weather event that can be tracked on radar, pace a fighter jet, and then shoot off into space. The simple truth is, we don't know. But the evidence provided by these credible, highly trained observers makes it impossible to ignore the question. The skies are filled with more mysteries than we can imagine. These pilots, the sentinels of our skies, are on the front lines, witnessing things that challenge our understanding of the world. Their testimony is a critical piece of this giant, unfolding puzzle. What do you think? Have you ever seen something in the sky you couldn't explain? Let me know in the comments below. We'll continue to explore the most fascinating evidence and stories in the world of UFOs. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.